So, again, for those who just joined, my name is Beher. I graduated from Yale University last year, and I came to this country when I was 12 from Egypt, like almost all of us.
What year did you come to this country?
I was 12.
What year though?
05.
Bro, I wasn't to know that.
I'm 23. And so, sorry, parents are asking me if they could join. I said no parents for today because I gave the same talk yesterday to most of you guys as parents. Basically, the reason for this is the reason we're doing this is I think a lot of people, parents and students, don't know about the opportunities that exist to make them succeed when they're applying to colleges, which means that they come to this country, they kind of go through school, do their thing, but don't really explore different opportunities that could really help them succeed and then help them get into better colleges than or even get into a college. A lot of people aren't even able to get into a single college. So my hope was to talk a bit about just what it means to have a good high school experience. And a lot of what I'm talking about is, specific to high school, but some things will be relevant to middle schoolers as well. But before I start, I wanted us to just go around, say your name and what year, and what ISD, or like your school, what ISD is it? So, like what year is in, what grade are you in?
Are you going into or you're
Going into. So, in September, what are you going to be? Freshman, 10th grade, whatever.
Here it's August. It's going.
All right.
My name is David Galsey and I'm going into 5th grade.
What ISD?
Cypher.
Okay.
My name is Timothy. I'm going into 4th grade and I'm in FBISD.
Okay.
My name is Daisy and I'm going to 8th grade and CFIC.
My name is Benji and I'm going to 8th grade in Cypher.
Okay.
My name is Mina and I'm going to 9th grade and in Cypher.
My name is Bashwan. I'm going to 8th grade and CFIC.
My name is Bashwoy and I'm going to 8th grade and I'm going to Cypher. And I'm in Cypher.
Yeah.
My name is Jonathan and I'm going to 7th grade and I'm in Fort Bend.
Okay.
Oh, I'm Catherine, and I'm going to 8th. And I'm Grace, and I'm going to 7th grade, and I'm in CFIC.
So Van, I'm going to 8th grade in Cypher.
I'm Jack, and I'm going to 11th grade.
Whoa. Sorry.
Guys, can we quiet down?
It's Freddy going to the college, freshman going to UH.
Okay.
I'm Elaine, going to 8th grade, and I go to CFIC. I'm Jasmine, I'm going to 9th grade.
I'm Chantel, I'm going to 11th grade and I'm in Cypher.
I'm Michael, and I'm going to 9th grade, and I'm in Cypher. I'm Anne Simone, and I'm going to 9th grade in CFIC.
Okay. So could everyone who's going into 8th grade raise their hand? Okay. And then those who are going into 9th grade, raise your hand. Okay. So I think the majority are going into 8th or 9th, which is perfect. And the rest are either elementary or high school. Who was 6th? Yeah, 6th, okay.
Me.
All right. All right. Guys, if you want to go throw your trash, or if someone wants to be smart and just bring the trash can here.
I'll bring
Oh, there's always
All right.
Go to the bathroom. Go to the
You're supposed to pass it around.
I'm not just I mean, at least. That's why I didn't take my college. Exactly what I say.
Are you gonna play too? Are you gonna play?
I was a good person on
He was looking at that.
I encourage everybody to take
Can you sit on this side? Thank you. All right, guys. So I'm not a Sunday school teacher, and I'm not gonna tolerate, and I'm not gonna have patience for what's going on. Okay? I want to do this talk. I want to help you guys. I want to help your parents by helping you, because I'm sure they need the help. And I want you to just be receptive. Listen to what I have to say. Ask the questions that you have. I'm going to keep it open, so if you have questions, you can ask me. But please be quiet and stop disturbing me so that we can get through this. Because I know you want to leave as well, and I want to leave. So before we start, I'm going to just open us up in prayer, so we can just stand up to pray. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, one God, amen. Dear God, I thank you for this day. I thank you for the opportunity to be here. God, I pray that we would be obedient, and God, that we would just do what you want us to do. And God, I confess all the sins that I've committed today, all the sins we've committed, God. We pray you would forgive us. And we thank you again, God, for this day. We thank you for this church that's open to us to have these activities, these talks. We pray all of this in your name, and we ask you to hear us when we say, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. In Christ Jesus our Lord, for thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Can the two guys in the back come to the front? Can you guys come sit here? So, before I start talking about school and all of that, I think it's really important to just say that school is important, academics is important, but I think you all know that the most important thing in your life is your relationship with God. That is priority number one. So this is not a Sunday school class. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm only here to talk about school and college and that stuff. But I just want you to know that that is the priority, and that if your priority is anything else, you're not going on the right path. And I don't care if you get into Harvard or if you have the best grades. If you're not prioritizing your relationship with God, reading the Bible, praying, coming to church, doing the stuff that you need to be doing, it doesn't matter. When I got accepted into Yale, which is the number 2 college in the US, my mom told me, I don't care if you're not praying and reading your Bible. Of course, she was happy and proud of me, but that's just the fact. That's what's important, is how your relationship with God is, and that be something that you work towards, just as you care about sports or you care about whatever your social media profile or whatever it is that you care about. Caring about God is obviously a lot more important. So, having said that, I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to get into it and talk about school. You can see some of the stuff from yesterday when we talked about pre-AP and stuff. But just to, okay, we have our first question.
Oh no, I just gotta leave.
Oh, okay, bye. Does anyone else need to leave? Because I don't want more interruptions. So if anyone needs to leave, feel free to. I'm not holding you here hostage. Okay. So, yeah, any questions on what I just said? Yes.
You said Yale is the number 2 college in the U.S. What's the number 1?
Harvard.
Oh,
Yep.
What do you mean number 1? Is the number 1 most educated?
No, just rank.
Yes.
There's something called college ranks, like what are the best universities in the country. Yep.
What field are you in?
What?
What field?
What field? What did I study? I studied politics and religion, but I was pre-med as well. Yep.
Is Harvard in Texas?
No, all of these schools are outside of Texas. So most of the best universities are on the East Coast. So Boston, Massachusetts, New York, Connecticut. All right. So the first thing that I want to talk about is your high school experience and the fact that it's divided into 2 parts. There's your academic life and there's your extracurricular life. Extracurricular literally means extra in addition to curriculum. So what are you doing aside from studying and taking exams and reading your books? What are you doing with your life aside in the times when you're not in the high school, when you're not in the school? So first I'll talk about the academic portion, and then we'll talk about the extracurricular portion. So I think all of you guys know, even the ones in elementary school or middle school, that you can take any course at different levels. You guys know that? There are different levels. So in Sci-Fair, what is it called?
GT Horizon.
GT Horizons and regular or on level.
Level 1.
Yep. And then in Fort Bend, it's called GT, Gifted and
It's
Talented.
GT everywhere.
Just GT everywhere.
Yeah.
The Horizons is only Sci-Fair.
Horizons is just a name. It's GT.
But in my middle school, we call GT like pre-AP.
So yeah, there's also pre-AP, which I'll get into AP courses. But so in middle and elementary school, if you're not in GT, you just take a test. You say, hey, I want to take this test, which if you pass it, they'll put you into this program. It's a whole program that you're basically taking the same courses, but you're with students that are just
Smarter.
better in different ways.
You have no idea how challenging that test is.
It is. I failed it when I took it, by the way. So when I moved to this country, I wanted to take the GT test because they said you should. I did, and I didn't pass. Oh well. Then I went to high school. I still wanted to take the hard courses, so I did, even though I was never in GT. But because I was willing to do the work, it was fine. Because once you're in high school, you don't need to take a test to qualify to be in an AP course or a higher level course. You can just say, I want to take it. So for the middle and elementary school kids, I would say you can always retake that test. So if you don't pass it the first time, you can take it again the next year. You can take it again the next year. You can keep trying even into 7th grade if you want, or 8th grade. What?
Can you still do the GT test even though you're in the program?
No.
Why would you take that? Why would you do that? All right. All right. So that's what I wanted to say for middle and for middle school people and elementary school. Once you're in high school, and especially for the people going into 9th grade, you have freedom to. I don't know if your schools already made you like fill out a form that says what courses you'll be taking in 9th grade. Sometimes they even give you a plan of like, these are the courses I'll take for the next 4 years. These are my 4-year plan. Just know that that's flexible. The fact that you filled it out doesn't mean that once sophomore year hits, you have to take the courses you said you would take in that form. That form is meaningless. It really is just a way to get you to think about your 4 years rather than to force you or bind you in any way to those courses. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So, hello. So, now, everything that college looks at is going to be high school. They don't really care what you did in middle school, but if you didn't challenge yourself in middle school, probably you're not going to challenge yourself in high school either. So that's why it's important to start early. And if you didn't challenge yourself in elementary school, you're probably not going to challenge yourself in middle school. You're probably not going to challenge yourself in high school. So why is high school so important? Why is it so important that I'm asking who here is entering 9th grade? Because you're starting your GPA. You're starting, once you enter into 9th grade, you start taking courses from high school, or high school credit, which means that your GPA starts counting. Do y'all know what GPA is?
No.
Your overall score for college?
No, it's every class has its points, and the grades that you make give a certain amount of points, and at the end they add up all these points and they make a total score. And your GPA gets you to college.
There it is. Okay, so GPA is really important because that's a way for a college to look and understand how many A's did you get, how many B's did you get. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So let's say, do you guys as middle school do A's, B's, C's, etc.?
Yeah.
90, 80.
Yes.
Yeah, A, B,
They give you numbers.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Okay,
and it's A.
and it's A, B, C, whatever. But is there GPA?
No.
We have high school credit.
Okay.
Like we start taking Spanish 7th grade, and like to tech and all.
And some people take algebra and like
Right.
Yeah, algebra.
Okay.
High school
So-
credit courses.
Let's say I took you take 7 courses in high school. Okay, 1, 2, 3, that is 7 courses. Okay, we'll say English, math, science,
World
art, history, Spanish. I'm just making up classes. Okay, you can take other ones.
athletics.
Whatever.
Sport.
Sure.
Athletics.
Swimming. I did swimming in high school. Okay. Let's say I got all A's. Yay. What's my GPA?
It's definitely gonna be. It's gonna be
It's
seven.
gonna be
If you're in the pre-AP GT class.
Exactly.
it's
So-
7.
You guys didn't ask me what level of difficulty were these courses.
If they were
So English, math, science, history, I could take them on level, right? Which is regular.
Yeah, and you get a total 6 points if you get the A's.
Okay.
K and
I could take them what?
K.
K level, which is for Sci-Fair, a higher level. It's kind of
K level is like pretty much level 1, right?
it's like GT.
K-
It's like GT
K
continue.
and AP are the same exact. They're just APs for college.
Yeah. K level is just a higher. So just to talk about, let's use English as an example. You can take English 1, regular, okay? And regular, they could like use it, like they could call it any other. They could call it different things. They could call it on level, they could call it regular, normal. You could take English 1, pre-AP, or
K.
K, okay? There's no English 1 AP. You can't take AP English in your first year. So you have 2 levels right now. We said regular is easier than pre-AP or K level, right? Or yeah. So if I get an A here and I get an A here, let's say I took English 1 regular and you took pre-AP English. You got an A and I got an A.
So
Is it fair that we would get the same points?
No.
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 English.
Who gets more points?
English.
Okay, let's say he got a B.
We'd be equal.
We'd be the same points. So if you, and I have all of this down here, grading scale for Sci-Fair. So K or AP or Horizon or pre-AP, if you get an A, you get 7 points. If you get a B, you get 6 points. If you get the L level, forget the 2 on the side. So these 2 don't matter. Okay? So we're just looking at this and this. If you get an A in pre-AP, you get 7 points. If you get a B, you get 6 points. If you get an A in regular, you get 6 points. If you get a B, you get 5 points. So just to do an example, we said this, we'll say that you were such an overachiever and you took everything that you can, K level or pre-AP or whatever. So K, 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 and K. All right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And you got all A's. So
28.
when I'm doing your average, so this is going to be higher math for maybe for the middle school. I don't know what you do in math, but you want to convert this A into a number. So we said this A is how many points?
7.
This one?
7.
6. 7. 6.
Okay. Now what they do, and this is what GPA means, you add up all of these. So who wants to add them up? So we got 28 plus 18. 46 divided by 7.
May?
Yep, what's 46 divided by 7?
40.
No, just look at that. What's?
Oh, it's 7 and 4 sevens.
Nope, cannot be higher than 7.
It's 5.
6.5.
6 point.
5.
6.5 something.
No, 6 and 4 sevens.
I leave it at 6.5, and that's not
We'll say 6.5 something, okay?
That is a good enough GPA.
Does everyone understand what we just did? We added the numbers after we've converted them based on, this is called weighted GPA, which means I want to know the weight of that class. Is it heavier because it was a harder class, or is it not as heavy because it was an easy class, it was regular level? So this is your weighted GPA. Your unweighted GPA is always from 0 to 4. So 4 is an A, always. 3 is a B. 2, C, 1, D, 0, F. So forget about this. Forget about life skills. Forget about that. This is weighted GPA.
It's your.
What did I say weighted GPA means?
How much your class?
Weighted GPA takes into consideration what level of difficulty the class you took was. Got it?
Got it.
Unweighted GPA doesn't care. So my unweighted GPA here would be 4.0 because I got all A's. If I had gotten a B here, doesn't matter. It would still be 3.8 whatever.
3.8.
Okay? Does that make sense? Because unweighted GPA is always from 0 to 4. So why do colleges care about unweighted GPA? Because they want to know how many A's did you get sometimes. But always what they care more about is your weighted GPA, this GPA. Because this tells them what level of difficulty classes you took. But also, the most important thing about GPA is class rank. So my high school had 700 students. When I entered as a 9th grader, we were 700. When you graduate from high school, when you're doing your graduation thing, they'll rank you. So based on your weighted GPA, they will say, okay, you ranked number 350 out of 700. Or you ranked number 5 out of 700. Okay, I know I'm going to give a lot of information here, but this is really important to understand. Class rank is why GPA matters. GPA is why class rank matters. Does that make sense?
Is that after the 4 years of high school or after 1 year?
GPAs start, the rank you mean?
Yeah.
They rank you, most high schools give you your rank in your junior year and in your senior year. You need it in your junior year because some people start applying to college in junior year. Later in junior, like the second semester of junior year. So it's really important for a college to know, were you in the top of your class or were you in the bottom of your class? Were you number 10 or were you number 700? And that they will get from your weighted GPA, not your unweighted. Because obviously we said the unweighted doesn't tell them anything about what level of difficulty you took. So for example, there could be someone in my high school who their freshman year, their first year in high school, they took all regular, okay? And they got all A's. What's their unweighted GPA?
6.0.
4.0, okay? Unweighted GPA. That's what they got. I, for example, let's say, took all honor or all high level, so K level, and I got 1B. What's my unweighted GPA? 3.8 something, okay? So this guy who took all regular classes, and because they're easier, he got all A's, has a higher GPA than me, but he has a higher unweighted GPA, which is why colleges and your class rank will always be determined by your weighted GPA. Does that make sense? Yes? Everyone? Okay, you have a question.
I have a question about K and AP, because whenever I did my 4-year plan, most of my classes, all my classes were K level, and I'm taking AP in 11th and 12th grade. What's K level?
K is just a higher.
Then what's level 1?
Level 1 is, I think, ON.
No, there's no level 1.
K.
Alright, what ISD?
There's L level and K level.
Yeah, you only have these two.
So that's what I mean. So K level is not AP.
No.
That's what you
Can you
said.
come sit here?
AP is the same
Yeah,
thing
you-
as level 1, it just
Can you
counts
sit here?
for college. It's a higher level.
Thank you.
But it gets you the same amount of AP.
Oh, I got it.
L levels of
Okay, I got it.
Okay, does that... Guys in the back, you've been quiet. Any thoughts about what we're talking about? Do you guys have any thoughts? Again, just to be clear, this matters because once I get into talking about college admission, especially if you're planning on going to a college in this state, Texas has a very easy rule. If you're in the top 10%, you can get into any college that's a Texas university.
Top 7% you could even get into Austin.
UT Austin is the only one that has it as top 7%. So class rank, if I'm 700, what's 10% of 700? 70. So if you're between number 1 and 70 out of a class of 700 students, when you graduate, you have a letter of admission to any public university that you want in the state. That's really, really easy and really, really good. So that's why class rank matters. That's why it's important. And some universities, even if you don't meet the top 10%, they'll take top 25%. So if you're from, let's say, 140, 150, or whatever much, you still have a high chance of getting in. So what I'm saying basically is colleges look at how did you rank in your high school relative to other students. Were you at the top of your class? Were you at the bottom of your class? Does that make sense? That's why this is really important. So that's why people care about getting good grades in high school. It's not just, ooh, I want to get good grades. I want to get good grades to get the highest GPA possible to be able to have a high rank in my class to be able to go to a good college, or to even get automatic admission into a college. One second. One other advice I would give about courses, if you're really an overachiever and you want to take as many, so how many years are in a high school experience? 4. Each is 2 semesters, right? So you have 8 semesters. And the maximum number of courses you can take in a semester is? 7. You can only take 7 courses a semester. If I want to increase my GPA, maybe I want to take more courses. So sometimes people do summer school. And I did that, and I took 2 AP courses in the summer. because I wanted to increase my GPA. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can I ask to move you to the front? No, the girl in front of you. Either of you, honestly, it doesn't matter. Thank you. So, does that make sense? If you want to, some people start in 8th grade. Why do they start in 8th grade algebra, for example? When algebra, you can start
Algebra's low.
is 9th grade, right?
It takes more like it helps you like take away.
It
some
helps you.
classes.
Why? Because then
It gives more room.
you have algebra 1, you have algebra 2,
Geometry.
you have geometry,
Geometry is before algebra 2.
you have pre-calc.
And then calc.
Oh.
So if I take this 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th, I'm not going to take calculus. And the state of Texas doesn't require you to take calculus. But if you want to be an engineer, and if you want to save money when you go to college, because you don't want to take calculus in college, because it's much harder, then it would make sense for you to start this in 8th grade, and then you have calculus in your senior year. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, I don't get it.
What happens if you take algebra in 7th grade?
Some people take it in 7th. You can take it earlier. And then in 8th grade, you take a higher,
I took algebra in 7th.
yeah, you can do that.
Wait, can you do like algebra in 7th, algebra 2 and 8th, geometry?
Yes,
and
you can
9th?
do that. The only thing is the only important thing here is to be getting good grades in these things. It doesn't matter if you start early and you get a B or you get a C, because then you're starting your GPA with a lower grade. Does that make sense? You were asking what?
I don't
So,
get it.
all I was saying is to increase your GPA, you want to take higher level courses. Because higher level courses count for more. We already said that, right? There's 7 points, not just 6. So, the state of Texas says that when you enter 9th grade, you should start taking algebra. But some people are like, hey, I'm really good at math. I'm going to start algebra in 8th grade, which meant that they did 8th grade math in 7th grade because either they were accelerated or they did summer school. So they took 8th grade math in the summer, and then when 8th grade came, they took algebra. So when you take algebra in 8th grade, then you have a free spot in your schedule. Because remember I said you have 8 semesters, and each semester you only have a limited number of courses that you can take. 28 courses, exactly. So you have a free spot now to take a course that you didn't. And like I said, you can always do summer school. So all I'm trying to say is I'm giving you ideas as to how people increase their GPA. Because I bet you 100% that in every one of you guys' schools, there are kids who have parents and who know how to do the GPA game, is what it's called. How to stack their schedule in such a way to make sure that they have the highest classes, get the best grades in it, to be one of those people who are number 1 out of 700 or number 10 out of 700 or whatever. Okay? Does that make sense? So I'm just giving you ways to think about, especially if you care about, if you like math and you're good at math, then why not accelerate? Which means either do summer school, and I have links here for like the different Sci-Fair summer programs that you can take as a middle schooler and as a high schooler. They're all here. So, there. Yeah, what was your question?
So taking more classes like helps your GPA. Like if you're like done algebra 1 in 8th grade, and you wanted to do geometry in summer school, and like you're gonna have 2 more years left and like taking more classes, so that's like helps your GPA.
Only if you're getting good grades in them, right?
Yeah.
GPA only is helpful if you're getting good grades. It doesn't matter if I'm getting C's in my classes, because then the C. So that's actually a really important point. My brother, when I came to this country, my brother entered into 10th grade. He had just come from Egypt. My dad put him in an AP class. He was not doing well in that class, so he dropped out. So he dropped before the year had ended, so it didn't count in his grade. But if he had continued, maybe he would have gotten a C. And a C in the AP, so it was AP Biology, okay? And I'll talk about APs later. But AP Biology, a C would be how many points?
5.
5. What?
5.
5, right? Oh, I took it away. But yeah, it's 5. So if he had taken biology regular, okay, and gotten an A, just normal bio, what would he get?
6.
6. It would have increased his GPA. Does that make sense? Now, not only did the C hurt him because he got a 5, but even in the unweighted GPA, what's a C?
2.
A 2. So really bad. So 2.0 versus for the A that he got here, he gets a 4.0. So you have to know yourself. Are you someone who's gonna study? Are you gonna be someone who's gonna take notes in class, go home, study for your exams, and do well? Or are you gonna be someone who's not gonna do that, and so it's better for you to take the regular class? Does that make sense? You guys know yourselves. Sometimes it's good to try, you're not gonna lose anything. Like you're not going to lose anything by trying, is what I'm saying. And then you can test. It's always very common. Every September, a ton of people take AP course, and then after a few weeks, they're out. So that happens. So any questions on GPA? Yes.
Like, if you have like one of the like highest rankings of GPA, can you still go to summer school to go like even higher?
Yeah, summer school is open for everyone. As long as you pay, you get it. You have to pay for it. Yeah.
If you and somebody else has the same exact GPA on like the ranking, would you be on different places like on the leaderboard?
It's rare for people to have the same GPA. But yeah, you would have the same if you would both be ranked number 5. Yeah.
Okay, so are you talking about like whenever you get your grades for the semester or?
Yeah, this is semester. So your GPA starts after your first semester. So after your first semester, these were the grades that you got. Then you get those points. And then at the end of the second semester, you get the same grade and you do it. Your high school is not going to give you your GPA. You calculate it for yourself. They'll only give it to you in your junior year. Some give it in 10th grade, but generally they give you in 11th grade. They give you a paper with your rank. You were ranked number 205 out of 700. And your GPA is 5.321 out of 7. And that's helpful for you because then you know. But if you're someone who cares earlier, you would be calculating your GPA earlier. Of course, you don't know everyone else's GPA, so you can't compare. But yeah, it starts by each semester. Yeah.
So in high school, they don't take the grades by like each 6 weeks, or they just take it by semester. So there's no 6 weeks, just like in middle school.
No, not like middle school. Yeah, middle school it's called progress reports, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's showing you your progress. It's not like that.
I don't get how you calculate your weighted GPA.
You add all of them and
Yeah, you just add it,
Divide by.
and you'll get it.
And then you divide by 7.
Yeah, you'll get it in a few years. Don't worry. You're still young.
David, you still know.
All right. Something to say about APs really quickly. APs are great courses. Why are they great courses? Because after you're done with them, you take an exam at the end of the year. It's called the AP exam. That exam, if you get a good grade on it,
You send it to the college.
then you are allowed to take credit for that course. Most of the top universities, like Harvard and Yale, they don't really care. You're still going to have to take that course. But most universities in Texas and most universities in the country, if I took AP Biology and I took the exam, okay, at the end of the year, and the exam is graded from 1 to 5. You just get a number. You either get 3, 4, 5, or 1 or 2. If you get 1 or 2, you failed. Some universities, if you get a 3, they'll say, okay, we're going to give you credit. You're done with college biology. You don't have to take it. You don't have to pay for it. You're done. Every university, minus, again, some universities, will take a 4 or a 5. 5 is an excellent score. So if you, the last page, I gave you a list of all the AP courses you can take. Some high schools don't offer every single one, but as you can see, there are a lot. You can take it in history, geography, economics, psychology, US government, US history, world history, AP art, AP research, AP calculus, AP statistics, biology, chemistry, physics, and then languages. If you're really good at art, you can take art, like right when you enter high school. If you're really good at art, you take a test and they'll take you into their AP art class. Now, imagine if I took 15 AP courses during my high school experience, and I took the exams for all of them, and I passed all of them. You can graduate college within like basically 3 years, sometimes even 2 if you do summer school, because you've taken so many courses, and you've taken the test to prove. So, main thing about APs, you take the class, you have to pass the exam at the end of the year. Got it? Yeah.
Do you have to, can you take AP classes in summer school?
Yes. You have to pay. Yeah.
I've heard if a lot of people fail the AP test, they just make everybody pass because a lot of people fail. It happened.
All those AP courses, AP exams like the SAT and the ACT are graded on a curve, which means after every exam, they look and see, okay, this exam was taken across the world because people in the whole world take the AP exam. We got scores. The highest score we got was, let's say, an 80%. That was the highest score we got, the highest achieving student. So they set it on a curve, which means everyone who gets, 60 to 80% is going to get a 5, a perfect score, and then 50 to whatever. So all to say, there's no such thing as everyone passes. There's always going to be people who get 1, people who get 2, people who get 3, people who get 4, and a fewer amount who get 5.
Is there any way to take AP on sports or not?
No.
What if you fail the final exam?
What if I what?
Fail it.
Then you don't get credit. You get credit for your high school, so you took the class. So AP class, you're still getting your letter grade. You're still getting an A or a B or a C, and that's still counting in your GPA. I'm just talking about the exam. So again, example, AP biology. I took AP biology at the end of the year. So I got an A in AP biology. That's great. I took the exam at the end of the year and I got a 5. Great. Some people get an A in the class. They don't study for the exam. They take the exam and they get a 2. Oh well. You had a probably easy teacher who gave A's to everyone. So you got an A in the class, but you got a 2 on the exam. So you're not going to get credit for college. Does that make sense? Yeah. I'm just saying AP matters because colleges will look at your courses and they will see, oh, he took college level courses. That's good. He must be a smart student. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any AP courses for theater?
No. Again, the list is all here, so you can look at it and see.
Are you gonna send this to PowerPoint?
Yeah, I sent already a link, so if someone else has your number, they could send it to you. Does anyone have his number?
Whose number?
This guy?
I don't know.
No? Okay. I'll send it to you after. I'll send a link to anyone who doesn't have it. Yeah.
Like for the 7, you said like we can have 7 courses for like one subject, right?
No.
He meant a year.
You can take, for 1 year, you can take 7.
Yeah, like these 7, do you take like courses until you pass?
What do you mean?
David, when you get in middle school or high school, okay, like every 45 minutes you have a different class.
Yeah.
It's like in elementary for an hour to 2 hours you have math, instead of that, in middle school and high school, every 45 minutes, so like the first 45 minutes of your day is math. Then you go to English, then you go to history, then after history you go to art, and then the rest.
Okay.
Also, like you can only take one course for every subject.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna skip over EOC and STAR exams because they don't matter. So colleges are not gonna look at them. No one cares about them. The only one that cares is the school because it determines the rank of your school. So if you're middle school, everyone gets a high grade on the STAR. Good school. The state of Texas gives it money. Your teachers get a good job. That's it. It doesn't matter to you at all. PSAT, really important. If you're in 8th grade or 9th grade, you can take the PSAT. If you're in 10th grade, that's the PSAT. That's the actual exam. PSAT is basically the SAT, but it's a smaller version. And I'm just going to say, because I can talk about PSAT, SAT, ACT a lot, basically, those are just, they're called standardized exams, which means every college in this country will require you to take this exam to be able to apply. If you don't take that exam, one of these two, SAT or ACT, you can't apply. Why? Because this is an exam that's standard. It's the same for every student in the world. So people in Egypt can take it if they want to apply to an American university, people in London if they want to come here to study, etc. So the point is, let's say I went to a really easy high school. Everyone didn't study, and so it was so easy for me to get good grades. And obviously, because I got good grades and no one else cared about school, I was in the top 7%. So I was able to get admitted to UT Austin. Okay? Now, let's say our friend over here, what's her name? Sylvana, went to a really hard high school. Everyone was Asian, and everyone went like really hard. She tried her best, but she just could not get high grades as they did. Even though if she went to my high school, which was, let's say, really easy and no one cared, she probably would have been like number 5 out of my class. But because she went to this really hard school, she wasn't in the top 10%. So, is it fair that a university will look at her and say, sorry, you were not in the top 10% of your class?
No.
And look at me, at someone who went to a really easy high school, probably didn't study but still got A's, and give me admission?
Yes.
It's not fair. So that's why they created this thing called the standardized exams. It's the same exam, and you're all going to take it. And that exam, based on the score that you get, so for the SAT, it's out of 1,600, and the ACT, it's out of 36. Everyone, I don't care where you're from, what you do, you have to take that. And let's say I got 1,400. Let's go back to the example. I went to a really bad high school. I didn't study that much. I don't care that much, but I still got top 10% because it was a super easy high school and no one else cares. I had to take the SAT, and guess what? I'm really not that smart, and that's why I got whatever, say 800. I don't even know the lowest score. I got a really bad score. Sylvana over here, even though she wasn't at the top of her class because she went to a really hard school, but because she studied a lot and because she was surrounded by students who also studied a lot, when she took the SAT, she got a 1450, for example, out of 1,600. That's really high. That, most universities in this country, most universities in Texas also have an automatic admission. If you get a cutoff, a certain level above, you have just the same rule as the top 10%. So remember the top 10%, you have automatic admission. The same with the SAT and ACT. They'll say, oh, if you get a 32 or above, we're gonna admit you, automatic. Just proof, there's obviously a system that you show that you got that grade. the same with the SAT. If you get a 1300, I don't know what the standards are, and they change every year, you have automatic admission. So what I'm saying is, there are two things in your high school that if you do, you have automatic admission to any Texas university, Texas Public University. If you get a really high score on one exam, which is why it's a very important exam and people start studying for it very early, or if you have a high GPA and a high rank, and so you were in the top of your class, then you have automatic admission.
What if you do both?
If you do both, that's great. You also have admission. So, does that make sense? So SAT, start studying from elementary school. There are people who start studying then. You have to have vocabulary. They literally have words that you have to study. I always push people, take practice exams. Don't just go into your first one. You're allowed to take it as many times as you want. One second. You're allowed to take that exam as many times as you want. Most people take it in their 11th year, junior year. And they're like, oh, I'll take it, and because it's offered every month, every single month, there's a Saturday, and it's administered across the whole country, that exam. I don't understand why people would go to that exam for the first time without having practiced before. The SAT, if you go online, they will give you practice questions, like SAT practice questions. And you can literally go and just start answering questions to practice. There's a book that's called the Official SAT Book, and it has 10 previous exams. So real SAT exams. It's divided into sections. It's a 3-hour exam, or 3 hours and a half, and they time you. So you sit down, and they're like, okay, section 1, begin. And then 30 minutes later, they're like, everyone, put your pencil down. And you have to put your pencil down. And then you start the next section. Now, I'm not going to talk about the specifics of the exam a lot, because you can study that. It's all online. My point is, start practicing early. I bought the book. I practiced the 10 exams. I timed myself. I went into my room, and I had an alarm set. And I did the practice, and then they have the answers and the explanations also in that book. And you can see, and then you can score yourself. So you can see, oh, I did, like after you check your own exam, I got a whatever. If it's your first time, you'll probably get a bad grade. 1,000 out of 1,600, or whatever. I don't know what a bad score is. So my point is, start practicing early. There are courses you can take, courses with your high school, sometimes they offer, but there are also courses you can take like from a company. You go to a company and you say, I want SAT course, and it's really expensive, but people do it. Yeah.
Does the SAT have 1,600 questions?
No.
Oh.
They score it.
All right. You don't need to worry about how it's graded. Just worry about studying for vocabulary. That's it. And you don't. Yeah.
How many questions are there on the essay?
Doesn't matter. Seriously, doesn't matter these questions. All you need to do for the young ones who are in middle school or elementary school, just study your vocabulary. That's all you can start doing. And then for middle school and high school, definitely start practicing questions and math questions. There are people I know, I went to a really hard school. They took the SAT in 8th grade. Okay? Now, that's extreme. That's really extreme. But that's because they're like geniuses and they studied since they were 2 years old. And I mean they take it and they get good grades. Like they're not just taking it just for fun. Like I said, the PSAT, which is another test, you can take in 8th grade or 9th grade, or you can take it in 10th grade. I talked a lot about the SAT. The SAT is reading, writing, and math. ACT is the same, but it has a science section as well. Most universities will not require you to take both. They only ask for one of them. They don't care which one. And there's no easier, harder one. They're different exams. You can practice both. You can take both and see which one you get a higher score in. But like I said, this is out of 36 ACT, and then the SAT is out of 1,600. Okay? 1,600. All right.
Do you have to take the essay?
A lot of universities will say you have to take the essay. So when I talk about college application, you have to go on the college and see what they require. Some are like, we don't care about the essay. We just want to see your score. Then you don't have to take it. But some universities will definitely require you to take it. So you just have to do your research and see. Yes.
So you said that you can take it as many times as you want if you failed it.
Yeah.
But what if you passed it by barely passed it? Are you allowed to ask to retake it?
You can always take it. You
But
can keep
you-
taking it.
Oh, so if you ask, even if you pass, if you ask, you want to take it again?
Doesn't matter. Yeah. I mean, I got a very high score the first time. I wanted to take it a second time just to see. So it doesn't matter. Obviously, if you take it, first you have to pay to take it. It's like $45. And it's 4 hours. So people generally will not take it 15 times. They will take it, the average I think is like 4 times. I took it twice. Some people take it 3 times, maybe 4 times. But what I'm telling you guys, don't go into the test room and be like, I'm going to practice. Because I can take it every month, I'm just going to practice now. No, just practice at home, get the books, study, prepare, ask your mom to time you if you can't time yourself, and then go to the exam prepared. And then you'll get a much higher score for the first time. Yeah.
So, do they change the questions
Yes,
every time?
they do, but it's all the same idea. I already talked, sorry guys, I have to move on. I already talked about summer school. Middle school, here's for Sci-Fair, here's a list of all the summer courses that you can take. And then high school, here's also the same list. And someone asked about AP courses. You can also take some of them at Rice University. You can pay and you take AP courses at Rice for the summer. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to keep moving on. Extracurricular. Now, going back to what I had said, what are the 2 ways to get admitted automatically in a Texas public university? Yeah.
GPA and SAT. If
Yeah.
you pass it.
Or ACT. So, what about your GPA? It has to be, it's called the top 10 rule, top 10%. If you're in the top 10% based on your class rank, which was based on your GPA, your weighted GPA, you have automatic admission. But most people are obviously not top 10%, right? 90% of students are not going to be in the top 10%. And most people are not going to get the really high scores that they say, especially if they don't put the effort to get a really high score on the SAT or ACT. So most people don't get in through the automatic admission, which then means holistic review. What that means is an admissions officer sits down, opens your application, and looks at what did you do. So your rank was da-da-da, you get this level of A's and B's and C's, and you also played sports, and you also volunteered at this church and this organization. So basically what they do is something called holistic review, right here, and they look at all these different things. Which is why it's really important, if you're looking to go into a good university, to start looking at your time in high school not just as courses and let me take the best courses. You have to get involved in clubs. You have to apply to be an officer, to be president of an organization or vice president or secretary. It's really good for you to start in band, orchestra, art, choir, play a sport, and do it for 4 years or 5 years if you start in middle school. Because probability is you do it, you're going to be really good at it by the end. and you can get awards. You can volunteer in nursing homes. You go help elderly people. I did that. I really like dogs, so I worked at an animal shelter. I went to an animal shelter and I became a volunteer. I gave dogs showers and it was great. And there's Habitat for Humanity. You can like go build houses with that organization. Y'all know Habitat for Humanity? Is that anyone? Okay. It's a very well-known organization. They help poor people by building houses for them, but they build houses using the labor, using the work of high school students and families. So people go volunteer to help build, and that's, so I go on a Saturday morning and they ask me to paint this wall, and you're with a team obviously of other volunteers and you help create the house. Hospitals, if you're really interested in medicine or nursing or whatever, you can go to a hospital, literally just go and ask for the volunteer department and say, hey, I want to become a volunteer. And you just apply and they take you. Every high school has a chapter of the American Red Cross. These are, basically what I'm telling you is just different opportunities that exist, different things for you to get involved. It's really sad, but most people, most Egyptians do not get involved in their community for some reason. They just stay at home and play games or whatever, check their Facebook. That's not going to make for an appealing application at all, if that's all you do. You need to be involved. You can work. You can literally make money. You can lifeguard if you take the training. You can go to a restaurant and work. You can tutor if you speak Arabic, or if you're really good at math, you can tutor someone who's in 4th grade with their math. You can babysit. I babysat for people because I was certified. You can do all of these things and get money. And then you can tell the university, hey, I have work experience. Like, I didn't just go to school and I didn't just volunteer. I also worked and I made money. And that was helpful for my growth.
Won't they want proof? Like, how did say I worked? They want proof and
Yeah, you prove it. I mean, we're hopefully honest people and we don't just write things as lies. So there's obviously an honesty agreement that you're going to be honest in your application. And sometimes they do audits. So really, selective universities like Harvard or Yale or others will call an organization and be like, this person says they worked with you. Did they really work with you? And if they say no, it's going to be really bad. So you obviously are going to be honest, and you don't always have to prove everything, but most high schools will give you a certificate. If you do 100 hours of volunteering, they will give you a certificate, and they have a system to prove that on Saturday you went and you worked at the animal shelter. You sign and you give it to them and they prove it, whatever. My whole point, all I'm trying to say, when you go to high school, and you can start earlier, you don't need to start in high school. And I started in middle school. I worked at a library, in the public library. I was a volunteer. And you go into high school, there are going to be a lot of clubs, a lot of organizations. Start getting involved. And they're going to offer you opportunities to go volunteer. So you don't always have to just search it out on yourself on the internet. You can just go to a club and they'll give you opportunities. So the American Red Cross, they'll send out emails and be like, hey, we need 10 students to come help us at the food bank on Friday evening. And then you reply and you're like, oh, I'll come. But you only knew that because you were on their email list. So just get involved in clubs is all I'm trying to say. Why is that really important? Again, because most universities, especially if you're looking at applying to universities outside of the state, will look at what you did, not just what grades you got. Everyone applying to Harvard, or almost everyone applying to Harvard, has very high grades and a very high SAT score. But they only have 1,000 spots, and you have 40,000 people applying. And most of those 40,000 were the top of their high school, were at the top of their whatever. How are they going to differentiate between them? Extracurriculars. What did you do? Who were you as a person? Were you someone who was interesting? Were you someone who gave back to their community? Or were you just a bum who sat at home all day? So that's why I'm talking about extracurriculars. Sports, I already said, is really good. If you're really good at a sport, continue playing it, like continue doing it. You're not going to lose anything. And then in high school, you can get credit. You can do swimming, you can do tennis, you can do whatever, volleyball. Some universities will also ask for you to write essays. They'll ask for recommendation letters, so you have to ask a teacher to write a letter on your behalf, stuff like that. So I am done with my part. And for those of you who are tired and want to leave, feel free to leave. You should have felt free anyway. No one's forcing you to be here. So now I'm just going to answer you guys' questions. If you have questions, you can ask me. But this is all I had. Okay? Yeah.
Does sports really matter that much in high school? Like if you do a sport, does college still have sports and stuff? Is it a big deal or not really?
Not really, unless you're really good. So most high schools will have teams. They'll have a freshman team, they'll have a junior varsity team, JV. They'll have a varsity team, which is the highest level. Were you in the varsity level or were you not?
I didn't even go to high school.
Yeah, I'm just saying as an example. That's something they will care about. Varsity means that you were practicing a lot more. You had tournaments every weekend, stuff like that. So I don't know. There's no black and white. Okay.
Say that you actually went to a volunteer job or a volunteer or something, and then you apply for the college, and then they call the place that you volunteered for, and then you actually volunteered for it, but then they...
That doesn't happen. If there's something, they'll tell you, and you can say, no, I really did, and it doesn't happen.
You can't just walk in a random building and then volunteer without paperwork.
Yeah. Most organizations will give you paperwork to prove that you worked for them. This church, St. Mary's, they wanted to create a volunteering opportunity for you guys. And they did. And guess what? Zero of you guys signed up to go to help. They wanted to create a volunteer opportunity. And they announced it at church and all that. And to create opportunities for you guys and to sign it, to make it official. And it never worked. So, because people just weren't interested for some reason. My point is, you can do stuff at the church and you can ask, hey, can I get a paper? Can I get a sheet that says that I volunteered that many hours? But don't let it just be church. It's great to be involved in church, and if you were a Sunday school teacher, you can say, I was a Sunday school teacher and all that good stuff. But there's more that you can do in this country. You can do a lot more, especially if you care about different things. If you really care about being a doctor or being in medicine, go to a hospital and start volunteering. You could even do research in high school. Or if you're really interested in politics and government, you can join with your local council, your local city. I did that. I was really interested in politics, so I was involved with my congressman. I was involved with my local mayor. There are youth councils that they exist. So all I'm trying to say is there's just a lot of opportunities and you have to go for it. You cannot let it wait and be like, Mom has to tell me to do this. If she doesn't, then oh well. You have to be driven. You have to go and do it. Only if you care. If you don't care, then I can't help you. Yes.
I have two things. First, for sports, can you play sports in 6?
I don't know. I don't remember. That was a long time ago.
Okay. And second, can you do everything for the clubs, the volunteering? Can you do everything?
Of course. You can't do everything. No. Nor should you do everything.
Can you try to do everything?
I mean, sure, but are you going to be able to still get good grades? Because that's the most important thing. Some people do a lot of things and then their grades are really bad. They're not getting into a good college if they're doing that. Yeah.
I have a question about scholarships.
Yeah.
So how do you get the scholarships?
So scholarships are basically things that you apply for and tell them, give me money. so I can attend university, because university is really expensive. And that's why extracurriculars really matter, because, for example, if you go to this link, these are general scholarships. You go, women in public finance, if you're really interested in finance, they'll give you $3,000 if you apply, and it gives you the application, and it tells you you must have a minimum GPA of 3. You have to be a female, you have to be going to college, stuff like that. So basically, all they are just things that you have to apply for and sometimes write an essay or whatever to prove that you care, and then they'll give you money.
When did you start applying for scholarships?
When you start applying to college, so whenever that is. Some scholarships are specific to the university. So let's say I'm UT Austin, and you are coming to UT Austin. You could apply to scholarships from UT, and we are going to look at the people we accepted, and we're going to be like, oh, he is really good for this scholarship. We're going to give it to him. Okay? But the whole scholarship application, you have to be very proactive. You have to really, go online, explore different opportunities and stuff. Yeah.
I have 2 questions. One, what's the best grade to start studying for SAT or ACT?
You can start now. Just get index cards of vocabulary, SAT vocab words. You guys know how to use Google, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
Everyone?
Yeah.
Go into Google and write SAT vocab words. And you'll get lists. Word list number 1. Start studying. That's it. Okay? Or you could do math. You could do whatever. Start studying. You can start studying whenever. Yeah.
And second, is it for sports, is it your decision if you join an official team?
Yeah.
Or would they recommend it?
It's always your decision. No one's going to force you. Sometimes people are really good at a sport and they ask them to join the varsity team, but yeah.
Like how many scholarships can you get?
There's no limit. Some people literally apply to so many, and because they have really good grades and they're really talented, they get college funded for them. They don't have to pay a penny.
Okay, it's okay. Like, did you send this link to our parents yesterday?
Yeah, I did. Any other questions? I'm here. Like, I was planning from 7 to 9, so I have 15 minutes if you guys have any questions. But just my main point, again, your spiritual life is the priority. My brother came here 10th grade, did not do any of this. If I asked him to calculate his GPA, he'd probably be like, I don't know. He doesn't know how to do that. He doesn't care. He tried, but no one was there to tell him. He's an engineer right now. He went to UT Austin. He transferred from another university that wasn't as good. And then he went to UT Austin, became an engineer, and is working now. So my point is, that's really not the priority. This country is very helpful, and they will push you. Even if you're failing in different ways, they will push you. But what's really important is your relationship with God. And then after that, if you do try hard and you do get good grades, this country will reward you. They will help you become even more successful. So why not start from now if you have the opportunity?
What's the maximum and minimum
You're welcome.
number of years you can stay in college?
4 years.
What's the minimum?
No, minimum is 2 years.
Wait, what's the maximum?
Depends.
Is it like 20?
No.
15?
Do you guys have any other questions?
No.
No? Good? Okay. You're welcome.